Okay, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. Excuse me. Welcome to the Data Access and Visualization of Model Data at the NASA Goddard Earth Science Data and Information Services Center, or GES DISC, Earthdata webinar. This is your host, Jennifer Brennan. Most of you have already seen this, but while everybody is logging in, we have two optional polls located at the bottom left and middle portion of your page. And we certainly do appreciate your feedback on these polls. I've got 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First, what I'd like to do is review a few logistics related to this webinar. To ensure best audio experience, the conference has been placed in silent mode, but if you have any questions or you have any issues, what I'd like for you to do is enter those into the Q&A pod, and you'll see that located in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and this works like a chat. This webinar is being recorded. The recording will be posted to our online Adobe Connect webinar catalog, as well as to our NASA Earthdata channel, YouTube channel within a couple of days of completion. All registrants will also receive an email with links to the recordings. In addition, presentation files are available for download at the end of the webinar. Regarding timing, today's webinar will be 1 hour long. 45 minutes are allocated to the presentation and live demonstrations, with an additional 15 minutes for the question and answer period. After our speaker has finished her presentation, we will then move to the final set of polling questions. From there, we will transition directly to the Q&A period. You will have an opportunity to ask your questions throughout all portions of the webinar, with the exception of the live demonstration by using the Q&A pod. And again, this does work like a chat. Questions will not be answered today using the raising hand function. It has been disabled. One final note, depending upon the number of questions that we receive at the end, we'll extend the Q&A period an additional 15 minutes to 3:15 p.m. for those of you who may wish to stay on the line. What I'd like to do now is move to the agenda. Let me pull that up for everybody. Okay. During the first 10 minutes of the webinar, our speaker will provide an introduction to the Goddard Earth Science Data and Information Services Center, or again, GES DISC, and also provide an overview of the model data available at the GES DISC. From there, she will transition to a live demonstration, beginning with a tour of their new web interface. Then she will demo 2 tools that can be used to discover, access, and visualize the model data. Finally, we will wrap up with a few examples of using model data in applications and future directions. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dana Ostrenga, who is a Principal Support Scientist for the GES DISC. Dana?
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for that nice introduction. And hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about the model data and the tools and services that we provide here at the GES DISC. I will show you some new and exciting things that we have going on, talk a little bit about the data that we provide, show you some ways that you can get that data. And then I'm going to walk through the live demo of our interface and use 2 of our most popular tools. I'll show you a few examples of using the data for various applications and visualization. Last, I'm going to cover just some of the future work that we're working on and what we plan on in new development that might be beneficial to your personal research. First, I just kind of want to give you an idea of what the Goddard Earth Sciences Data and Information Services Center is. And the GES DISC, it's one of the 12 NASA as-DISC acts that manage, archive, and distributes the Earth science data as part of the NASA's Earth Science Data Systems program. So we're an active archive that's responsible for the long-term holdings and the dissemination of data for multiple satellites such as AIRS, GPM, and TRIM, and AURA instruments, just to name a few. Also, we hold failed campaign data, and what we're here to talk about today, the model data, such as MERRA, MERRA2, and LDAS, and that covers a broad range of disciplines. Our archive contains over 2,500 public and restricted data sets, and that exceeds a volume of 1.5 petabytes. This is a large volume of data, and it's provided freely to the global community through various tools and services. So some of that is what's developed right here at the GES DISC. As I mentioned, the data that I want to focus on today is the model data. And however, the interface and services that I am going to demonstrate will also be the same ones that you could use to access the other data that we provide. The GES DISC, it provides support for two main modeling groups. The first one is the Global Modeling and Assimilation Office, or known as GMAO, and the other one is the Hydrological Sciences Laboratory, or HSL. The GES DISC provides end-to-end support for archiving and disseminating the model data. And just to kind of brief you on what some of that support contains, it's some activities that it could include writing various documentation, registering the DOIs for the data products, configuring a lot of the data access and services through the web interface and tools. And we also provide support to the science teams and, more importantly, to our general user community. We assist users with science questions and any data access-related questions that they may have. So now going over the model data that we have, specifically starting with GMAO. GMAO provides the GES DISC with 3 data sets. The most recent data set is the second modern era retrospective analysis for research and applications, or better known to most of our users as MERRA-2. This model data set, it consists of 95 data products that are grouped into 2 categories, analysis and history files. The data has 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional variables that are either produced on a time average or at instantaneous time. And it's available starting from January 1980, and it continues to today. The temporal resolution of MERRA-2, it's 1 hourly, 3 hourly, and 6 hourly that are formatted into daily files. There is also a corresponding monthly and diurnal data product for some of those hourly products. The spatial resolution for the MERRA-2 data, it's 5/8 by ½ degree. And the 3-dimensional data variables in some of the products are either on the 72 pressure level or 42 model level. The next is the predecessor to MERRA-2, and that is the Modern Era Retrospective Analysis for Research and Applications, or also known as MERRA. This was the first publicly disseminated data set that we supported for GMAO, and since it has ceased the production as of February 29, 2016. So we try to emphasize to our users it's more important to use MERRA-2. This model data set, it consists of 65 data products. It's grouped into 3 different categories. It's grouped into analysis, chemistry forcing, and history files. The data set, it's constructed very similar to MERRA-2 with the exception that there's 2 spatial resolutions, 1 1/4 by 1 degree and 2/3 by ½ degree, depending on the product. The format of the MERRA-2 data, that comes in NetCDF4, while MERRA is in HDF EOS2, but we do offer a service that allows you to reformat this data to another desired format in case you want to compare the 2. The third data set that we provide for GMAO is primarily for the science and instrument teams, and this requires approval for access to the data. It's near real-time. It's a produced data set of 29 data products, and each of the data products has a temporal resolution of either 1 hourly or 3 hourly data granules. But since this is primarily for customers of the science team and instrument teams, the GES DISC actually provides 28 uniquely derived subsets of that data. Moving on, I want to talk about the data provided from the Hydrological Sciences Laboratory. The Hydrological Science Laboratory provides the GES DISC with several different model data sets. The 3 that I want to emphasize today are part of the LDAS. It's NLDAS, GLDAS, and FLDAS. The first one, the North American Land Data Assimilation System, or NLDAS, provides precipitation, land surface states, and fluxes by integrating observations from numerous sources combined with land surface modeling. The version 2 of the NLDAS data comprises of hourly data that begins from January 1979 and it continues to the present, but it has a very brief latency of 2 to 5 days. The spatial resolution is at 8 degree grid spacing, and it covers the United States and parts of Canada and Mexico. Now next, the Global Land Data Assimilation System model, or known as GLDAS, generates a series of land surface state and flux products, and these are simulated by 4 land surface models. The current data holdings include a set of 1 degree resolution data products from 4 models with a temporal coverage from 1979 to the present, and the second set that is actually quarter-degree data products from the NOAA model, and that has a temporal coverage from 2000 to the present. The third is the Famine Early Warning Systems Network, or Land Data Assimilation System model, or better known as LDAS, and that is generating a series of land surface state and flux data products. So you might ask, how do I find the data? The GES DISC has been working on redesigning its web interface, and so I want to showcase that today, as this will be released to the public very soon. They've been working on redesigning a web interface. You can currently access it through a beta test mode that produces a more efficient and user-friendly design to help you get the documentation and data access capabilities that are available. In the new interface, you can perform search capabilities by data product or emission, but now even by other key information such as discipline or resolution. I'm going to further demonstrate this interface in just a few moments, but I just want to go over a few capabilities. From the front interface, we have a central search box. From there, you can select to search the data collection, or you can refine by category. You have quick access to various tools and services right from the front interface, provided in the GES DISC footer. And you can find related documentation, whether it be FAQ, how-tos, READMEs, anything that may be provided by the science team. From the front interface, once you perform a search in the central search box, there you can, you'll get a search result page, and that's going to be based on what your keyword input is. You can refine your search from the left-hand side, and I'll go through and demonstrate this a little bit further. You can refine through this faceted filter. You can refine by categories such as discipline, measurement, or source, and even by resolution. So further seeing what's on the page, you can also get the product listing and additional product information just to see if a product may match your spatial resolution that you require or the temporal range that you need. Once you find a data product that you have an interest in, you can click on the data product, and that's going to bring you to what's called a dataset landing page. The dataset landing page is going to be your single source of available data information, documentation, and access for that data product. And this is the key resource for a user in getting what they need for the data product from the GES DISC. On this page, you're going to find the title of the product along with a brief description. You'll find access to the available documentation, references to publications by the science team, information on how to cite the data, and you're going to find granularity information for the product. Most importantly for some users in this page is going to be how to find all the data access methods and services that are available. So speaking of data access and services, this is going to lead me to what is available actually at the GES DISC for our model data. I just went over our new web interface, but I just want to highlight a few of our services as well. For the model data, you can search for the data with the simple subset wizard or Mirador. You can subset and access the data with the level 3-4 Regridder and Subsetter. You can subset and access the data with protocols such as GDS and OpenDAP. And you can visualize the data with Giovanni, or you can just simply access the raw data files through HTTPS. To elaborate a little more, I just want to go over some of our tools and services, and then I'll get to the live demo. Our two quick and easy search interfaces are Mirador and Simple Subset Wizard. Mirador provides you with a quick search through inputs of a keyword, time range, and spatial region. And then when you search, you'll be provided with a list of available granules. The Simple Subset Wizard allows a user to subset a request for hundreds of data sets across multiple data centers. And the Simple Subset Wizard has a backend that actually utilizes the OpenDAP protocol. And so both of these interfaces provide further capability to subset the data. We also have direct access to the OpenDAP and GRAD's data server, or better known as GDS protocol, for the data. With OpenDAP and GDS, you can perform additional functionalities, such as single-point spatial subset or download a time series. Some users aren't quite sure how to use these type of protocols. So here at the GES DISC, we've developed how-tos on using them. The how-tos explain step-by-step instructions on how to subset and access the data through each protocol or other tools and services that we provide, and then shows you how to get the desired output. I'm going to show you further in the demonstration and where to find these on our web interface. Our most popular tool for visualizing the data was actually developed here at the GES DISC. Giovanni is a web-based application that provides the ability to efficiently visualize, analyze, and access a large amount of data. It contains over 1,000 parameters across multiple disciplines and from various sources. So you can actually visualize data from model data set or even a remote sensing data set at the same time. Giovanni, it has many integrated capabilities to visualize the data, and they're working on adding more. So just to list a few of those visualizing functions, Giovanni can produce time average maps, area average, time series, animations, climatologies, profiles, scatter plots, and even differences between two variables. Giovanni also allows you to download the visualization that you produce and subset of the data that was used in producing the output image. So here's just, I'm going to provide a few visual examples of some of the outputs produced by Giovanni. Later I'm just going to show some specific applications utilizing Giovanni with the model data. So that brings me to our most popular tool for accessing the model data, and that's the Level 3, Level 4 Subsetter and Regridder. This tool is currently available for the MERRA and MERRA2 datasets, and it's in the process of being made available for the LDAS datasets. And it's a service that's easy to use interface. It has the most functionality of any of our available services right now. With the Level 3, Level 4 Subset and Regridder, you can subset the data spatially, vertically, temporally, and by variable. You can perform a temporal search for all the data that you need. You can select to calculate the daily means for MERRA and MERRA2 data. But what's most important for users and that they found beneficial is that you have the ability to regrid the data through multiple methods to match other available model sets, making it easier for intercomparison. So you can also reformat the data to desired output, and this service overall greatly reduces the total volume that a user has to download and minimizes any additional post-download actions. I'm going to demonstrate this tool as well with one of our MERRA2 data sets shortly. So with this tool, what I'll show you is once you actually hit search, it's going to provide you with a list of URL calls for each granule. On the page, it also provides you with a link to a text file that you can download all of these calls and invoke with curl or wget. That'll make a bulk download a lot more easier. So now I want to do a live demonstration of our new interface and our two most popular tools that we use to subset, visualize, and access the data. So as you can see, you probably recognize this interface from my previous slides. This is the new look and feel of the GES DISC Web Interface. In working with scientists, we tried to develop a more efficient and easy-to-use interface that enables users to better access the data and information that they need. The GES DISC, it focuses on the atmospheric composition, water and energy cycles, and climate variability disciplines. On the top, we've included a brief discussion, a brief outline of those focuses, and we included some of the related data sets. From the center of the page here, you'll see a free text search box. By selecting the Data Collections tab or the Document tab, you can search our many data products and documentation records. If a user chooses, they can also browse our interface by selecting a category, such as a discipline, mission, or a resolution of the data. The GES DISC has gone through great lengths to provide as much information on the metadata of the data possible that facilitates the search capabilities of this interface. So it allows users to continue to search through spatial or temporal searches to minimize the amount of results that they get. I'll walk through an actual search in just a moment, but first I want to show you a few additional key features of the Gateway interface. So if you scroll down this front gateway, if you want to explore and learn about any of the missions that the GES DISC supports, we provide a listing of the available missions along with a brief description and data search URL here in this left blue box. Sometimes we like to provide users with a glimpse of how our data could be used for environmental events or data applications. So we'll release a news article published here and accessible on the right-hand side. One of the other important items that I want to point out, and I mentioned in a previous slide, was the bottom of the page in the footer. Here we have a resource section, and then that lists additional documentation that may be useful to the user. These include sections like frequently asked questions a user may encounter about a data set, mission, or service. We have alerts here on the bottom that may be something that we need to release about a data set that's affected by satellite maneuvers or processing changes. And then we have this how-to section that I mentioned earlier. I want to focus a little bit more on the how-tos, as I think that's more beneficial to users. So our how-tos are written based on questions and feedbacks that we get from the user community. And you can find step-by-step detailed instructions on how to subset and access the data using a particular software package or service. This basically, it helps users who aren't familiar with those services and software tools to get the data they need without spending a large amount of time combing through the documentation. So here you can just see one example is how to concatenate the time dimension of a netcdf file with NCO. If you click on that, you get detailed step instructions on how to perform an example subset. So just going back to our front interface now, I want to actually perform a search. And I'm going to do a search for MERRA 2 data. So here in the central search box, I'm going to search for MERRA 2. Oops, if I type it correctly, sorry about that. And as you can see, from my search result, I'm going to get a listing of all available data products that match that keyword. On the left-hand side, you'll see a faceted filter option that I pointed out before. You have some sample images of each product. You'll have a listing of the data products. And then here on the right-hand side is where you're going to get some of the granularity information of the product. So let's say for this exercise, I want a 3-hourly assimilated meteorological field for MERRA 2. I can filter on this left-hand side for 3 hourlies. And that's going to refine my original search result with just data that are 3 hourly data products. Here on the very top is going to be the assimilated meteorological field data product for MERRA 2. If I select on that, this is what's going to bring me to the dataset landing page. So on the dataset landing page that you saw on the slide, here I can get a full title. I get a sample multimedia image of this product. I can see here a description of the product. Down here in the center of the page, I get all the product summary information. So if I want to find out what the volume of a granule is, what the resolution or spatial coverage of the product is, it's listed here. We also include information on the DOI in case you search the DOI registry for this product. And we further provide information on how to cite the data. If you click here, we provide the citation that's recommended for this data product. This helps users so they know how to properly reference this data product for their publications. You can also get documentation here by selecting this tab. This is very important for users because they find it beneficial to know how the models produce and list any publications that the science team may have published that explains their algorithms. On the right-hand side, you're going to see the most important aspect for our users, which is the data access methods. And as you can see, for model data, we provide many ways to service the data. So one popular service that I want to focus on in this live demo is the Level 3, Level 4 Subsetter and Regridder. You can access it from the dataset landing page under Subsetter. You select there, it's going to bring you to the Level 3, Level 4 Regridder. And this is what this interface looks like. Right here, this lists the data product. This is the one that I selected on the previous page. Here you have a spatial search option. So you can go ahead and click and produce a bounding box. You can search do a temporal search of your data. So let's say I want to search from 1980 January to 1985. I can do that by selecting here. You can do a parameter subset. Now note that if you don't select any parameters at all, you're going to get all the parameters in the raw data file. So most users want to use this tool, they actually want to reduce the number of variables that they get, the ones that they don't need. So here, that's for purposes of the demo, we're going to select air temperature and the wind components. For this particular data product, we have the ability to actually subset by time. So MERRA data, as I mentioned earlier, is hourly data, but it's comprised into a daily file format. So let's say if I just wanted several hours in the midday, I can go ahead and further subset the data if I want. You have the option to perform daily mean for the hourly data products. And because this is a three-dimensional data product, I do have the option in this case to vertically subset the data. One of the important features that I mentioned for users is this regridding option. Here you can regrid by bilinear interpolation. We have several other methods. And more importantly, you can regrid to another model. So here we have quite a few options available. If you see a model that or if you don't see a model that you're interested in, go ahead and email us and we will look into actually adding it to this list. We do have several different output file formats. So MERRA 2 in this case is a netcdf4, but let's say I want to compare this product and this variable to one that was in MERRA. I can actually reformat this data to match the MERRA format. And then here you can search for all the available data products. Now remember, I mentioned it's going to give you a result page with individual granules, and that's what comes here. Here you see a listing of all the granules, and then it has a URL that invokes the actual subset method. Here you see a list of URLs. If you click on this, it'll prompt you to actually download a text file. This text file you can then further call with wget or curl to actually do a bulk download. It's much more faster and it's a more streamlined process for a user. Next, I want to move to another popular tool that we have, and that's Giovanni. Giovanni is our visualization tool that I discussed. So this is what the Giovanni interface looks like when you get to, when you call the interface. I haven't performed any search yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Along the top, you can go select various plot methods. You can do scatter plots. You can do cross sections, time series. And so for this particular example, I'm just going to go ahead and put in a time range of 2011, April 1st. To August 31st. Then I'm going to select a spatial region. And for this case, I just want to go ahead and I'm going to do a bounding max over southern United States. And here you can type a keyword of any type of variable that you have an interest in. You can see that we have over 1,500 variables available. So for this particular demo, I'm going to type in temperature. And hit search. Once I hit temperature, it's going to give me all the variables that are available in all of our data. So this includes remote sensing and model data. Now, since we're talking about model data, let me refine that down to MERRA 2 variables only. Here are all the temperature variables that are available in Giovanni that are related to MERRA 2. So let's say I want to plot the 10-meter air temperature and the 2-meter air temperature. So here you see now Giovanni is going through its workflow process. It's going to kind of describe step-by-step what it's doing, and it allows user access on the left-hand side. While this is running, I just want to briefly describe these options on the left. You can go back to your original user input if you see that you want to further refine your results. You can select the plots, which we're going to see right here that are actually rendering now as I speak. You can see the lineage that's available, and I'll show that in just a second as this finishes. So I click here on lineage. You can actually get access to the original raw data file, or you can get access to the various subsetted data files that actually produce the final results. If you go to Downloads, then you can select the NetCDF format or the image file from your produced output. And back to the plots, you can get the image, see the images here. This allows users to look a little bit further if there's something that they want to investigate and actually download the raw data for. So now I want to go back to the slides and show you some examples of how we use the model data. Some of the recent activity that have been in development here at the GES DISC is our focus on facilitating the usage of our data in various applications. Some of the ways that we've been doing this is by working with the user community in determining what best new value-added products that they'd like to see and any new services that they would like that would help develop better ways for them to utilize the data and analytical software, or how we could present searches in our interfaces that would provide a user with the knowledge of associated data sets. So currently, our focus for applications has been in renewable energy, in extreme weather events, and air quality. We've generated a few examples using the model data during various events and applications. So in this first example, we looked at the dust storm that occurred in April of 2001. The dust storm traveled eastward from Asia across the Pacific, reaching California, and it even extended to the East Coast. And it covered a period of about 10 days. In the left image, you're going to see the column dust mass density in a time average map generated by Giovanni using the MERRA 2 assimilated hourly data at 0Z every 2 days. So the plot function in Giovanni is able to plot time average maps over any region of interest. Next example, we generated the aerosol scattering aerosol optical thickness at 550 nanometers and the dust wet deposition for an average of over 35-year period for the months of January, April, July, and October using the MERRA 2 aerosol data. Giovanni has a plot function that's called user-defined climatology, and that enables monthly climatology calculations of user-selected base periods. Giovanni also allows users to plot a time series for an interested month or a season of a spatial region. So using the MERRA 2 data again, we generated a time series of the global mean dust deposition for April and July from 1980 to 2014. So as you can see from the plot that both the wet and dry dust deposition showed systematic differences before and after the year 2000. This quick and easy plotting capability allowed us to see where these kind of occurrences happened in the data, and then helped us to facilitate whether we want to investigate further if it was a real signal or an artifact from the input data. My final example is here using the LDAS data just to look at the precipitation during the passage of Hurricane Irene in 2011. Irene traveled northward along the East Coast, causing millions of damage and the loss of at least 55 lives. The animation of hourly precipitation data from LDAS version 2's primary forcing product, it's in the left first figure, and that shows the rainfall along the East Coast from Florida to New England by hour. And the heaviest rainfall was observed on August 28th at 13 Zulu time in New York. The next figure, you'll see an animation of the hourly soil moisture data from the Mosaic model. And it shows the soil moisture content changing as Irene moves along the East Coast. Lastly, on the bottom, you see an area average time series of the hourly precipitation data, and that shows 3 rainfall peaks over North Carolina, Virginia, and New York. The LDAS data is an excellent data source for supporting water and energy cycle investigations. And you can use LDAS data to look further at case studies of extreme weather events, such as this example, Hurricane Irene, or the heat wave that happened in 2011 in the United States, or even current drought conditions in Texas. In the near future, the GES DISC is going to be working to release new value-added products and services to the global user community. So we're currently investigating the development of several new products. For example, one of those products that will aid in the research and development of renewable energy community. We've also developed some subset capabilities and services that will allow users to more efficiently download single-point data subsets and put in a series of points to produce subsets of the data. So we're further looking into optimizing the model data, its current file structure, to make it more efficient for users to produce time series, because that seems to be what's of most interest at this moment. So as I've shown, you can access various model data sets from the GES DISC using our web interface and our user-friendly services to customize those data sets in any format and subset that you require for your research. We're continually looking at ways to better service the data to the community through developing new tools and providing better documentation and metadata. So we'd like to expand our support of various applications right now, and are looking always to hear back from the science community on what kind of needs that they have that make the data and services that we provide more usable. If you'd like to access the data that I presented today, or exercise any of the tools and services I demonstrated, you can do so by going to our website. And the website URL is listed here. It's disc.gsfc.nasa.gov. I've also provided an email to our help desk and to myself, so if you have any further questions or follow-up feedback about any of your experiences with the capabilities and data that we provide at the GES DISC, we would love to hear from you. So I just right now would like to say I sincerely appreciate you taking the time today to learn more about what we have to offer in terms of services and data to the global community, and on behalf of the Global Modeling and Data Assimilation Office and Hydrological Sciences Laboratory. We just want to thank you again, and now I'd like to turn the webinar back over to Jennifer.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Thanks, everybody. We finished just a little bit early, which is good because we've got several short answer final polling questions here, and we really appreciate your feedback on these. So today we'll give these questions about 5 minutes or so, and then from there we'll move directly to the Q&A period. Okay, so we'll give these about 5 minutes, and then we'll move to the Q&A period. Thanks, everybody. Okay, everybody, we're going to give these polling questions just another minute and a half, and then we'll move directly to the Q&A. Okay, everybody, at this point we are going to move to the Q&A portion of this webinar. And so if you have a question, go ahead and type that into the Q&A pod. The first question actually has to do with whether or not the files are available for download, the presentation files. So first what I'd like to do is draw your attention to the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You'll find that Dana's presentation files are available both in PDF and also in the PowerPoint format. So if you highlight any of those files, you should be prompted with an option to download the presentation. And then I should also tell everybody that I'll leave the virtual meeting space open an additional 10 minutes today after we log off from the audio component for those of you who may be interested in downloading the presentation. All right? So let's see if we've got any questions. Are there any questions for Dana? Okay. The first question is, what is .he5 format?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. HE5 is the HDF5 format. It's actually quite similar to NetCDF4, and you can use a lot of the same libraries between the two data formats to download and analyze the data. So HE5 is just another extension. You can actually open it up with NetCDF4 libraries.
Okay, thank you, Dana. The next question is, unsupported on iOS presentation download? It should be supported, Paul, but you know I can actually get those presentation files to you separately offline. Okay, the next question is, are all of the MERRA 2 data products in Giovanni?
Because of the sheer volume of MERRA 2, what we've done to start is put the monthly data variables in Giovanni. From there, we select variables from the hourly data and ingest those into Giovanni. Right now, what we're trying to do is work towards removing MERRA since it's not as relevant anymore. We have MERRA 2 now, and that'll give us a chance to actually import some of the MERRA 2 hourly data variables. If there is a variable that you have interest to see, we would love to hear about it. That may actually bump it up in its priority, in the priority list of getting ingested into Giovanni.
Okay, thank you, Dana. The next question is, how can we see and analyze the HDF data file?
So there's a few different ways that you can so if you want to visualize the HDF data file, there's a few ways to do it. There's some tools called HDF View. There's Panoply, which is one of my favorite desktop tools to use. You can also, if the variables in Giovanni, you can do the quick access to the data plot function in Giovanni. If the data is not in Giovanni, you can also subset and download the data through OpenDAP or GDS. GDS also allows for visualization of the model data. So all those services kind of provide their own unique way to subset and download the data. It just kind of depends what you want to do.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Our next question is more of a comment. I think some of the MODIS data sets are not supported in this GES DISC.
Correct. So we used to support and disseminate the MODIS data set, and that actually went to our partners downstairs, to MODAPS. So that's where you can actually access the MODIS data. We do still provide some of the MODIS variables in Giovanni because Giovanni is not just GES DISC data. It also kind of provides some variables from external data sets just for more visual intercomparisons. So if you're looking for MODIS data, you might want to look at MODAPS. They're the ones that could provide you with all the data files.
Right, and just to add to that, it also depends on what type of MODIS data you're looking for. If you're looking for MODIS, snow, or ice data products, those would be accessed through our National Snow and Ice Data Center, DAC. And if you were looking for sea surface temperature data products, those would be accessed through our Ocean Biology Processing Group and our Physical Oceanography DAC. So it depends, what type you're looking for.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
The next question is, can a help desk message be used to request MERRA2 data products in Giovanni? I'm
not sure what you mean by a help desk message, but if you send a message to the help desk, we'll certainly be in contact with you right away, and then you can let us know what you're looking to get. We can actually, in some cases, provide you with a direct access URL. So we'll construct the URL for you just to facilitate your access a little bit better. So if you contact the help desk, they certainly will get a message to me or one of my colleagues, and we will get back to you with providing you access to the data.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, our next question is, okay, the next question is there a place where the public can locate NASA studies using these products?
Yeah, so actually GMAO provides on their website documentation and publications that they've produced. They also provide links to their talks. And from there you can download all the different ways some of the scientists there have utilized the MERRA data for various applications. They also, in some cases, have included external users' publications. If they send them to us, we like to share because it's nice to actually have a single location that provides all of these type of publications for MERRA. I'm only speaking on behalf of MERRA2 for GMAO because I primarily represent that data set, but I believe the Hydrological Sciences Laboratory also has through their interface their publications listed.
Okay, thank you, Dana. The next question is, the participant is wondering whether or not they can have the reanalysis data set from ECMWF.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't provide ECMWF data. That data, isn't, as far as I am aware, is not freely open to the user community like MERRA2 and LDAS data is. That you would have to actually get through their own, their interface.
Okay, thank you, Dana. The next, let's see here. Okay, compare quality on FP as compared to FP-IT.
Okay, so I think you're asking me to compare the quality of the MERRA2 data with the FPIT data. So FPIT data is the data that I mentioned earlier that is the data that's produced for the science and instrument teams. Every time that we've had a request for FPIT data, GMAO has expressed that users should access MERRA2. MERRA2 actually is ran on the same model. So the quality is actually quite comparable. The algorithms are the same. The only difference is the latency is different. And what MERRA2 has, with GMAO is given the opportunity with MERRA2, they have a longer latency. They can actually review and double check the data, make sure the quality is accurate for the user community. The FPIT data has a shorter latency, but the quality checks are not quite there in place, so it's not really used for research.
Okay, thanks, Dana. The next question is, I see your new interface website has a login icon at the top right-hand side. What is that?
Yes, so the top right-hand login side is actually more for internal when we want to modify the interface and add content. But there is a new user authentication system that's been implemented for the Earth science data here, and that we have a full explanation of how to go through the registration process. It's users get an account with Earthdata system upstairs, and then once you just open up an account, you can access any of the NASA data, and it's still free. It's just basically providing your information on how you're going to access the data.
Okay, thank you, Dana. The next question is, where can we access the MAIAC aerosol product?
Oh, the aerosol product, you can, so for MERRA2's aerosol product, you can access directly through the interface that I showed you, the new GES DISC interface. Just have to search for the product name, or you can do it by you can select by the faceted search and do discipline of aerosol, and then further refine your results by the source, which would be MERRA2. That will should provide a listing, then you'll see that product listing in there. We do have, GMAO does provide another form of aerosol data that is in a rolling archive, and that's available through their OpenDAP.
Okay, thanks, Dana. And that's a good segue to our next question, which is, how do I access data through OpenDAP?
Okay, so how you access data through OpenDAP. There are a couple different methods to access data through OpenDAP. We have our simple interfaces, such as Simple Subset Wizard, that uses the OpenDAP protocol as a backend, but you don't actually have to know how to calculate, let's say, the indices that are part of the OpenDAP URL. You can use the Simple Subset Wizard interface to do your spatial and temporal selection, and it'll actually produce the OpenDAP URL on the fly for you. You can also go to the system itself and directly access OpenDAP. And to do that, it depends on the product that you want. Our MERRA2 data is archived on 5 different machines, and our hydrological data is archived on one system, on one machine. So each of them would have their own unique URL to OpenDAP for that server. But if you contact me and let me know what product you're interested in, I can give you the URL to directly access that OpenDAP server.
Okay, thank you, Dana. And then the next question is IASI data available in Mirador or Giovanni?
IASI. So I'm not sure what they mean by IASI.
If this user could provide additional clarification, that would be very helpful. Yeah. And we'll try to address that question. Oh, okay.
It might be assimilated.
Like heirs from Europe, I see. Okay, ISI is ESA data, and currently only NOAA has the data.
Oh, yes. We do not carry that data.
Okay. All right, so now let me move up here to the next question. Are Giovanni's output plots only for screening purposes, or can we use them for comparison with model results?
You can use the plots for comparison, but we try to emphasize that Giovanni's really for a quick and efficient visualization tool. We kind of try to stress, not to use these for further research. If you want to actually, or further analysis, if you want to actually perform an analysis on the data, we suggest you subset, download the data, and perform the analysis yourself. Just in case there's any inaccuracies, we wouldn't want the user to publish, something that wasn't, 100% accurate. So it's really to give you a quick glimpse of the data, especially if you want to see maybe where some event happened, and just, kind of helps you to refine what data that you want to get for that event.
Hi, Dana. This is Jim Acker.
Yep.
One quick comment on that is just that there are some tools like the comparison map and the scatter plot, the XY scatter plot, that would allow comparison if you had like a Modus aerosol and a MERRA aerosol. But again, it's still for screening. It's not really for publication quality, but it's a good way to get started.
Thanks, Jim.
Sure.
Okay, and so for those of you who don't know this, Jim Acker is another scientist at the Goddard DISC and also works with the Giovanni application. Moving on to our next question here. Please elaborate on the future renewable energy products and when they become available.
So right now, we're just in the early stages of planning for the new product. We have one product that we plan, that we'd like to produce, and we're working with several users in the community, in the renewable energy community, providing their input of what they, specifically would like to see in the data product, such as statistics as well as the variable information. Once we refine what our requirements are into the product, from there we'll do some testing and then we'll produce the product in-house. So I don't want to give a time frame and then have it lag a little longer, but generally, I could foresee about 6 months from now we could have something released to the public. It has to go through a review process with GMAO, and so we want to just make sure that everything that we provide in the data product is accurate.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Let's see, moving up here. The other thing I wanted to say regarding, there are surface solar energy products that are currently available through our Atmospheric Science Data Center DAC. I don't know if perhaps this participant would be interested in that, but please feel free to email me at jennifer.l.brennan@nasa.gov, and I will provide you with the link so that you could check those out on your own. And then moving to the next question, are the NOMB phytoplankton data essentially satellite or modeled products or both?
Are they essentially, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Are they essentially model data or?
Yes. Are the NOMB phytoplankton data essentially satellite or modeled products or both?
I don't want to answer that one. If you could actually send me an email, because I don't want to be wrong, but it's NOBM is the model product, but I believe it has input. So I would actually have my colleague contact you back just because she knows more specifically about those products.
Okay, so Anthony, we will be in touch with you offline regarding your question, okay? All right, so the next question is, what is the best tool you can recommend helping on the land management purpose, Landsat or MERRA?
I don't know the tools that are available for Landsat, but for MERRA, I would suggest using the level 3, level 4 Subsetter and Regridder, and then you can regrid to that model. That way you can download the Landsat from their services and then do the comparison.
Okay. Let's see here. There was actually a, okay, let's see. There was a comment earlier. Currently, GES DISC does not have the MEI-AC data at the moment. And then another comment, many tools like Panoply, IDV, ArcGIS, and GRADS can also access OpenDAP. To the user who's having issues downloading the presentations, I will absolutely ensure that you receive these. I'll email them to you. Another comment, okay, we've addressed the IASI. Okay, I just have to scroll down. Bear with me, everyone, please. The next question is, does any GES DISC product provide vertical temperature profile?
Yes, we actually have several. We have some remote sensing products that do, and we have modeled products that do. So if you go ahead and perform a search on the interface you can do temperature, just even a temperature search on the interface. It'll provide you with a list of all the available products. Then you can refine that search on the left-hand side if you want vertical data, 3D data, and then it'll provide you with the available products that we have.
Okay, that's fantastic. Our next question, and just before we get to the final few questions, we are into the extended Q&A period, which will have a hard cutoff at 3:15 Eastern Time. And so our next question is it possible to use plots from Giovanni in a scientific publication? And if so, which I guess the question is, what is the citation policy for that?
People have used the plots from Giovanni in their publications, and actually we provide a listing of external users' publications using Giovanni, and Jim, who just spoke earlier, provides a newsletter for Giovanni, sometimes emphasizing some of those publications. There is a how to acknowledge, and that's on the Giovanni interface. We have an acknowledgement policy link at the bottom, and if you click on that, it will actually tell you how to acknowledge using that tool.
Okay, thank you. Let's see here, getting to multi plots. Okay. There was a comment regarding we will continue this webinar series throughout the summer. I just don't have our next one advertised yet. It can be tricky corresponding with scientists over the summer, and so our next webinar will be on July 19th, and they'll continue throughout the summer and the fall. Just for that particular participant to answer that question. And let's see here. The next question is, you mentioned different ways to subset. Which one is easiest?
I think that depends on the user, but from my feedback from users, they find that the level 3, level 4 Subsetter and Regridder is the easiest to use because it has a very simple top-down interface, and there's no other calculations or coding or scripting practices that you need to know. So usually that interface was developed in the beginning when we, had developed that interface. That was in response to a lot of users having issues actually running scripts to use GDS or OpenDAP and some of the other interfaces. So I think the level 3, level 4 Subsetter and Regridders, which is our most popular subsetting tool, is actually the easiest to use.
Okay, so the follow-up is, what is the URL for the level 3-4 subsetter? And off the top of my head, I actually don't know that specific link, but I'd be happy to paste that into the Q&A pod, during the 10 minutes where we're, have logged off from the audio component, and so that people can see that.
Sure, I can provide that. It's actually one link for MERRA and another link for MERRA 2.
That would be fantastic. If you want to, I'll copy and paste those into the Q&A pod when we're finished. If you want to just type those into the presenter chat for me or into the notes.
Okay.
That'd be great, Dana. Okay, are there any further questions? And then also feel free to email me if you have any questions for our speaker or you have general questions, and I will be happy to put you in contact with Dana or any other DAX user services office, okay? And again, my email, I did type it into the Q&A pod. Let's see here. Are there any further questions? I'll give it just another minute or so, and if there are no further questions, we will log off from the audio component, and I will leave the virtual meeting space open for an additional 10 minutes. Okay, any additional questions? All right, everybody, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. We will have a webinar on July 19th. If you stay tuned to the tinyurl.com Earthdata webinar, our next webinar will be focused on GNSS data, data applications, and science. So that's more focused on your space geodesy data products, and that will be held again on July 19th. All right, folks. Well, thanks again. I will log off from the audio component, and I will paste the URLs into the Q&A pod for you, both for the MERRA 2 subsetter as well as for the Level 3, Level 4 subsetter in just a moment. All right, thanks, everybody. I hope to see you at an upcoming webinar. All right, bye-bye now.